gentlemen, and disappointments. We are coming to you live from the woman caves in New York and Connecticut. My name is Leslie.
And my name is Melissa.
And we are Verbally Disastrous. Hello, everyone. This is your host, Leslie M. Jasper, of the Verbally Disastrous podcast that can be found on over 20 podcast platforms and YouTube. For this episode, this is part B on the discussion with my lifelong pal Donny as we cover his 40-year career as a high-voltage splicer in New York. If for some reason you missed part A, go back into the podcast platform of your choice and go find it so you can listen to the beginning of the discussion. Now, let's go listen and see what other kinds of random stuff and questions that I can hit Donny with. Alright, let's take a listen. Did you have a mentor in the business that inspired you, whether it be splicing or electrical, somebody that you looked up to when you first started?
Harry Clifford.
How did he inspire you?
Splicing.
Okay, so he was a seasoned guy, and did you interact with him on a particular project, or was that in the classroom?
Yeah, he took me under his wing, and we went splicing for months at a time.
Oh, okay. So you guys were lucky because you had the buddy system, so to speak, right?
Yeah.
So he was your pimp outside the hole?
No, he was a splicer. He was the inside wire. He could splice it like I do.
Okay, so I'm envisioning you were able to work with him on projects because there were multiple manholes?
Yeah.
Okay, because I'm envisioning, say, one manhole and one person's in the hole and one person's got to be out of the hole.
One time I was working for a contractor. I was running the job for him, and it wasn't going well because they didn't like the way I was doing things. I was general foreman. And Harry calls me up. He says, I got a proposition for you. What do you got? He says, I got splicing to do on the railroad. He said, how long do you think we'll be there? He said, I don't know, about 6 months. I said, I'm in. I call the guy up and listen, I got to go splice. Park over there, stop park.
Now, how many people would you say as far as contractors are concerned? Because they knew, say they hire you for an electrical contractor to do regular electrical work. How many of them bitched and moaned when they knew that you had to drop what you were doing to go do a splice?
Really? None of them, because that's how they got me.
Oh, okay. Okay, so that worked out well for you because their hand was in percentage going to them.
And I never left them in the lurch. You know what I mean? If I had to finish something with them, I do what I got to do, and then I go to the other contract.
Gotcha.
I wouldn't just leave, you know?
So you're saying that you were working in the middle of something, but you never ran into a time where there were two emergencies at once?
I do them in the afternoon.
It's safe to say that there was not a lot of sleep during this era.
No. I mean, sometimes when I was out of work back in the 90s, I didn't get called off for splicing. I was out of work for 3.5 years.
No calls at all. Solid for 3.5 years. Wow. No, of course. You had to do roofing. Didn't you share? You did roofing. You did some carpeting.
Well, I started appliances.
Would you say selling appliances?
I'm fixing appliances.
Oh, fixing appliances.
8+ AC service.
Ah, okay. So then the family plumbing background was helpful, right?
Yeah. And I never fixed a washer and dryer. I figured, how hard is this? So,
Do you think...
I got a company name, I got all the paperwork. I even went in the yellow pages.
No way.
You know, I was the first one in the yellow pages. 8+ AC service.
That was the name of your company?
Yep. I did air conditioners too, you know.
Now, did you like that work, or you just like that's putting food on the table?
Well, I liked it because I was working for myself, you know. People would call. Of course, they wouldn't look through the yellow pages. They'd see the first one, and there I was, right?
Mm-hmm. Oh, because of the A in the list. Very smart. So is that what you thought about ahead of time, or it just happened to be a name you came up with?
The name I came up with was, I knew I'd be the first one in the yellow page.
Perfect. Now, do you think with that experience back in the 90s when you were repairing washers and dryers, do you think that the dryers and washers that they have out today, you'd throw your hands in the air, or you think it would be even easier because you can hook up a diagnostics to it electronically and fix it directly?
Yeah, you can probably hook up. Well, I mean, everything's computerized now.
I think my question is more so, which one do you think is easier, today or the old days?
The old days, just like the cars, right? You get into a car and change your oil. Now you can find the oil filter.
Yeah, right? The olden era, there was less parts to have to contend with, less electronics.
Computers, and it's more expensive. They don't make anything to last, right?
Yeah, it ends up more cost effective to just trash it and buy a new one.
Up in Rhinebeck, I put $10. I was in the flea market, and some guy had a 1948 washer, ringer washer. Thing worked great.
1948 washer.
Yeah, ringer washer.
What year did you buy it?
Now you're too many.
Just roughly. I didn't ask for the day. like the 80s, 90s?
Yeah, probably 90s.
Oh, okay.
I left the house up there at the penny. I pulled it back and forth. What am I going to do with it now?
I remember switching from an old top-load washer. When you have a septic, it uses 40 gallons of water. I bought a front-loader, LG, and it went to 8 gallons, but it would sense the load. It would sense the load and go less than 8 gallons, depending on how heavy it was. And it was so great. If you have a septic problem, using an old washing dryer ends up fucking you with, septic problems, so you're better off buying the new equipment.
Paying for the water.
When you have a well and septic, you're not paying for it, but if you have problems where your septic overfills, then you're like, damn it, I should have spent the money and bought a modern machine. Agreed. Agreed. Do you have a coworker other than Lucky that you really hated working with?
No.
He's literally the worst?
Yeah, he was the worst. Yeah, there was no worse.
There was no, running second to him?
I don't know. You might have to edit this one out. One time I got called to a contract, and we had to work under a tent. Remember I told you a story when we were eating dinner at the other time? Should be in here.
Remind me.
Anyway, they said, you got to work with the city guy. I said, okay. So I looked at him up and down, and I said to him, before we went in the hole, before we went under the tent, I said, you're not gay. He goes, what? You're not gay or nothing, right? I said, why? I said, because I go into the tent, and I don't want you to grip me. He says, first of all, you don't even know my fucking name, right? He says, I'm insulted you even asked me. Okay, it's a simple yes or no, So he says, no, absolutely not. It's okay, cool. So we walk under the tent. I slapped his ass. You should have seen this guy jump. This guy jumped so fucking ill. I worked with him. That was it.
But you were messing with.
He said, what did you do that for? I said, I just want to make sure you weren't going to reciprocate.
That one's not a bad story to tell. Actually, a funny story to tell. Now, do you actually miss working?
I see these guys on the poles and the man. No, that's work.
High voltage, yes. Do you miss the routine of working, or what exactly about it do you miss?
I miss guys call me up and say, listen, can you turn the power off for me? Can you fix it?
Say someone has this sense of urgency, and they need you over there right now and then. Did you ever feel some form of pressure? You were able to block it out?
Another funny story. You ready for this one?
Yep, go ahead.
I was at the Raven Olympic, and I got a call from Bosie, Yorktown Heights. And he says, Donny, I got your name from Con Ed. What can I do for you? He said, the power went down. Oh, I'm sorry, I got your name from New York State Gas Lighting. He said, New York State Gas Lighting, turn off my power. He said, the transformer was no good. It's okay, I'll be up there tomorrow. No, you have to come up this day. I have no power in the whole place. I said, well, right now, I'm on an emergency as I'm eating another shrimp. So I said, I can come tomorrow, right?
Yep.
So I called the advanced testing pad up there. I checked out the transformer. It was fine. Checked out the switch. It was fine. Yeah, you have two gloves. I said, here's what turned off your power. I pulled out a wood chuck.
Oh.
Wood chuck went up there and I fried up.
Nice.
He said, not only did I fix your problem, I got lunch for you too, guys. He said, what about the generators? You don't need a generator. I had them powered up in an hour.
He was freaking the fuck out.
People freak out because they got no power, right?
Okay, so you were able to just turn it off.
I know damn well I can go there and just Island. Well, here we go again. Here it's City. And, it was 35,000 volts. Now that guy says, have you ever done these kind of spices before? Yeah, I've done hundreds of them. We high-potted 115,000 volts, right? DC. I said, how did I do? He said, Daddy, you did a great job. I said, that was my first one. What? He said, I never did none of that shit before. I didn't. I never did those places before.
So you told him that you did, and then you went and did it, and then afterwards you told him, nah, I didn't do that.
Yeah. You can't be scared, you know?
I know what you're saying. You got to get rid of that fear because it impedes your performance.
The only time I got scared is one time I was at Playland. There was a splice that was tied to the ceiling for some reason. I didn't put it up. And I'm down there doing a splice in the manhole.
This commercial break is brought to you courtesy of yours truly, author Leslie M. Jasper. I am the author of the book Construction Tales, Volume 1, A Woman's Journey to Become an Electrician. I also have available for Kindle Vella some short stories to check out in the Kindle Vella library that can be found on Amazon. For more information, head over to my website at www.constructiontales.com. Now, let's go back to that story and see what Don also has to say. You're listening to the Verbally Disastrous podcast.
This thing came down and hit me in the neck, right?
Oh, the splice hit you in the neck.
It came down and hit me in the neck, and it was live. Right? Yeah. So I crawled up like a baby into the corner. I was waiting for this thing to blow up. Thank God it never did. What did I do? I tied it back up to the ceiling.
Gosh. It literally hit your neck. Oh, gosh. That was live?
Oh, it was live. Yeah.
Wow. God was watching you.
I got called up to the old carbide, which is Regeneron now.
Yes.
And he said, you got to go in that hole. We're going to blow cable. So my part, measure that manhole 20 inches wide, right?
Yeah.
Mom, measure my shoulder. There's no way I'm going in there. So what we got to do is we got to take the top off. We got to take the top off. I got to take the chimney off, and I got to chip it up to 3 foot. And then I'll go. Well, we got to talk about that. It's okay. You can talk all you want. I'm not going in. So came back to where I did it, right? I chopped it out to 3 foot. I climbed down there, and then all of a sudden I had one set of cables on my belly, one set of cables. This is how tight it was. One set of cables on my butt, on my back, and I said to the guy, "Listen, you gotta give me that flash. Get out of here." So I get out of there. Ended up to all the cables were vibrating.
Oh.
Yeah, that means we're gonna go soon.
Mm-hmm.
You know? So, what do we gotta do? I said, you gotta shut down this whole complex. So what I gotta work on is the one underneath all these ones that are vibrating. I said, I'm not doing it. He said, well, we'll call this other company. They're gonna call me and I'm gonna pay you, I'm not gonna do it. At one point, I was the only one doing it in Westchester.
Mm-hmm. Have you seen anybody that you worked with that ended up having an accident while in a manhole?
No.
Thank goodness. I remember working at Yonkers Raceway with Richie, and he sends me outside with this other guy. The guy wanted to go in the hole without sniffing it, without a tri-stand, without a harness. I was just like, you're not fucking doing it. He and I got into this whole argument. He goes, I'm only going to be in there for a couple seconds. I'm like, that's all it takes to get overcome and die in the hole. And then now I got to explain to everybody why the fuck I let you go in that hole. He was all pissed off, right? I go back in and Richie was like, that's why I sent you out there. Because I knew you weren't going to let him to go in there and do anything stupid.
Well, it's like, what's the name? I think he went up in a buggy truck with a girl, right?
Oh, yes. And I don't remember exactly what it was that happened.
I don't think it was in a rush.
The bucket went on its side because the way they had it positioned, it wasn't level.
There was no outriggers.
And yes, they didn't use outriggers, and it was like on an uneven surface.
She had to get out of the business.
I heard her face had to be reconstructed because when the bucket went down, it landed on its side. You know, for people who don't know, that oftentimes you get a lot of pressure to perform a job and get it done. So you got to remove that pressure off of you and then do the work.
I do know somebody who got burnt up.
Oh.
That's the airport. Remember the guy that worked for Birdie? That worked for Westchester County?
Oh, the guy Joe. Yeah, it's a shame. It's a shame that something happened to him because it sounded like he was like a guy just like my other buddy used to call me the girl. He was wild. John P. It sounded like they were along the same lines where the guy would put his tongue on a live wire and you're like, why the fuck are you doing that? And he's like, you know, I've done this for years. Basically nothing has happened. So he literally put it on his tongue to test it. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah, something happened. Look how stupid you were.
Yeah, unfortunately, he was close to retiring too, right?
Yeah, he put his papers in already.
Oh, he put his papers in, he was still working, he was almost ready to go out?
Ready to go, a couple weeks.
Oh my gosh, that makes it even worse. Somebody told me the story that it was towards the end of the day.
It was the end of the day, and he saw something off, and he went into you remember the airport, I don't know if he did those lights, the runway lights or the sign.
I just remember some trench work. I don't recall being at a location where I was like close to the runway.
Everything 5,000 volt. The sign 110 with a transformer, right?
Mm-hmm.
No, I'm sorry. The signs are 57 with a step-down transformer, and the lights are 110 with a step-down transformer. But those connections are so shit. All you do is push them together. It's a really crap setup, you know?
It's easy for them to short out.
All these handholds, they're really short. They're not only short, they fill up with water, right? So you don't put your hands in there, things hot. Put it down.
No. Oh, and that's what he did? He put his hand in there and he got blasted on 5,000 volts?
He was on fire.
Oh, he was on fire. Oh, I didn't hear that part.
They saw him from the tower burning.
Oh. He was out there by himself?
Yeah. Remember that girl lineman?
Girl lineman.
Can't remember her name. Susie?
Oh, she's a lineman.
Yeah, lineman girl. Anyway, she was there. But she was in another manhole. She didn't know what was going on. She couldn't get to him fast enough anyway. Anybody out, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It sounded like you took the roll.
Yeah. Damn. That's a shame. The real downsides of not being careful, right? I'll pose the question again. The 3 lessons, knowing what you know now, the 3 lessons that you would extend to people, say electricians, would be what?
Don't trust anyone.
Okay.
Don't trust dead. Don't believe it. I found out when I was the first year apprentice. I first got my first pair of cyclers. Joe Bullen, old man Joe Bullen, we're doing 277 lights up on the Galleria. My friend Joe says, they're dead. I said, you sure they're dead, Joe? Yeah, they're dead. Wow. Stupid me. I didn't cut one at a time. I cut them both. Wow, my pliers went over the top and onto me, so that was the last time I trusted it.
Yeah, definitely. No, don't trust anybody. I remember Dave years ago. He came screaming. We were in this cubicle space and unoccupied, and it was a retrofit. He comes in screaming at somebody because they told him that something was dead, and he just decided to cut it, and he got blasted. So of course we're all breaking his chops, saying whether or not we could put our hand over the top of his head and feel some sort of static. Now, what is your advice to young people who want to get into the union?
Do it because you enjoy it. You have to enjoy what you do.
Agreed.
Doing it for the money, forget about it. Do it because you enjoy the work. Otherwise, going to work sucks, you know?
Yes, of course. You got to have that sense of satisfaction, enjoyment on completing a project.
You got to do the best you can. You can't just go there and just take up space, you know? Get off your phone, go to work, get off your phone, and do what you're supposed to be doing.
Agreed. Do you have any bucket list goals now that you're retired?
Dale, I like as many texts as we can.
That's your number 1 bucket list, just to stay alive. What's your other? Do you have any other bucket list goals?
Watch your grandkids grow up, travel a little bit, and maybe next year we'll make 100 gallons.
100 gallons of wine. That's a good goal. Yeah, right. Imagine. There's a machine that plucks the stems.
There is, but it's like $1,500 and you only use it for 10 minutes.
Wow.
Yeah, so what's the point?
10 minutes versus 2 days, though.
Yeah, but 2 days, what else are we gonna do? So
Oh. My bad. I forgot. Not like you gotta go somewhere.
I mean, I do have to go somewhere. I gotta pick up the granddaughter too.
Understood.
Come back, stay in here until I fall into the grapes. We got a barrel right now, it's half full.
Hey, my last question for you. What do you think your legacy is within the industry will be?
None of my splices blew up.
Okay.
None of one.
Very good. One would say 50 years from now, when your name is mentioned, they're going to say not one of his splices ever blew up.
I don't say that. That's fat bad.
The teddy bear.
Big fat bad. Yeah, teddy bear bad. Yeah. Fat guys don't die young. Tell Johnny.
What's that? Say it again.
Tell Johnny, all fat guys don't die young.
That's right.
You don't have to carry me because I'm going to get. I don't think anybody can carry, so I'm just going to get cremated.
Nah, Tom and Johnny could carry you. I know some good electricians that could also be up for the task as well. And put you in 2 separate urns? How about a wine glass? I mean, not a wine glass. What's wrong with me? A wine jug. Yeah, I know, right? Really have them all filled up. I'm going to ask another question. Your viewpoint from the time you decided to first get into the business towards retirement, the span of time, the 40 years, would you say you think differently?
From getting in and leaving?
Yes.
No, I'm glad I did what I did was learn how to do the cable splicing.
Mm-hmm.
Bernie pushed me to that. I was going to do it. Worked up 3 years before. She said, go ahead, go, did. And that was the best 3 years I could have done.
So you credit Bernie for pushing you to finish the school, supporting you.
Yeah.
Fabulous.
You know, towards the end of the career, New York State put me on their respect. We'll hire Don Raffa. Yeah, New York State, County of Westchester, IBM, Westchester Airport. Westchester Airport, they won't put me on their respect that they will hire me if they want the job.
Ah, so you were guaranteed at what point in your career?
I guess about 15 years ago. Well, 15 years into it.
Okay, that's a good achievement to have that on that level. It's an excellent legacy to have.
I thought so. It made me really feel really good, you know, and all the contractors wanted me, you know, so that's good too.
No, excellent.
I would work with them, and, you know, I never screwed nobody. I just went, did the job. Everybody was always happy with the job, you know. It was always clean. It was always done right.
Well, I don't know if you have any other stories to share.
Well, it's all made me talk.
I know, right? Well, I will wrap up this. I thank you. I believe I don't have any more questions for you. I thank you for taking the time to multitask with me and share some stories, some high voltage stories. I'm sure when you hear these podcast episodes, you may say, oh, I got a story. So we can always come back and rediscover your world as a high voltage splicer in New York. But I thank you for taking the time to juggle, because I know he's juggling grapes and the winemaking process while talking to me at the same time. The creaking of the chair adds character to the story.
That's because I got a fat ass.
I'm going to leave these guys to their business, but I appreciate Don coming on to talk to me about his stories. This wraps up Part B on the discussion with my longtime pal, Don Raffa, who is a retired high voltage splicer up in the territory that he used to work in, probably every manhole in Westchester County, New York. If you like the story and you'd like to ask some more questions, say for another podcast episode, feel free to reach out to me either through my social media, which is either under my name or Verbally Disastrous, or you can find me at my website at www.constructiontales.com. I thank you for listening, and I wish you a fabulous day. Take care. This wraps up another episode on the Verbally Disastrous podcast that can be found on Spotify, SoundCloud, and YouTube. For more information, head over to www.constructiontales.com. Thank you for listening, and have a great one.